All right, so we are 5.3. We are on the first part. We are graphing lines in standard form. So we are actually going to take this. Standard form means the equation, your x terms and your y terms, are on the same side. A, B, and C are numbers. So they're always numbers. And so your x and y are on the same side of the equal sign. To get into a form, and we're going to get into slope-intercept form, you're going to solve the equation or the function for y. So we're going to get this equation to say y equals. Once you solve the equation for y, you're going to have the form y equals mx plus b. M is your slope, and b is your y-intercept. We're going to say b is b because we're going to say that's where you begin. So you're going to plot the y-intercept first, then use the slope to find other coordinates. And the last step would be to draw a line through the coordinates. Draw a continuous line. So I'll explain that when we get to that. So on example number 1, we need to get the y by itself. So the very first step would be to move the terms. And if you're thinking, well, what's a term? Well, there's 3 terms here. We have x, 3y, and negative 3. We need to get the y by itself. So we got to move, if you have any terms, so we have an x term here. The x term is positive. So let's subtract x, and subtract x on the right. 1x minus 1x simplifies to 0. The 3y will come down. It is a positive 3y because it's a plus. So it is positive, keep that in mind. And it equals, and because we're getting into the form y equals mx plus b, we're going to get the x term first after the equal sign. So we're going to move this negative x to the front, and it's subtracting 3, so we're going to say subtract 3. Now, to get the y totally by itself, we have to think, how is that 3 attached to the y? Well, what operation? Well, it's multiplication. The opposite of multiplication is division. So we're going to divide by 3 and divide every term by 3. And now this equation becomes y equals, so 3 divided by 3 is 1. 1 times y is y. We have a negative x. That doesn't really look very good. So we're going to put a negative 1 there. So negative 1, I'm going to pull that fraction out front, negative 1/3 times x, and then 3 divided by 3 is 1. So now we're going to look at your y-intercept. Your y-intercept is your constant. It is not attached to the x, it is the constant. So that's negative 1. So we're going to go on your y, so your y-intercept equals negative 1. So I'm going to go on the y-axis, so here's the y-axis, and I'm going to go negative to negative 1. So start at the origin, and we're going to go down 1, so negative 1. Now, that's one coordinate of your graph. To draw a graph, you need 2 coordinates. I like to get more than that, but 2 is all you really need. So now I'm going to look at the slope, which is negative 1/3, and we're going to look a little bit deeper into the slope now. So slope is negative 1/3. When it comes to slope, typically teachers talk about rise over run. So you have a fraction, that's just your slope. The rise means up or down. The run means right or left. Now when it comes to up, that's a positive number. So if your numerator is positive, you're going to go up from the y-intercept. If it's negative, you're going to go down. If it's right, it's positive. Left is negative. So from our beginning point, we are going to go, so from the y-intercept of -1, we are going to go down 1, and we're going to go right 3. Because we have down and right. So it's minus, so down 1 and right 3. And you can continue that pattern forever. Down 1, right 3. Down 1, right 3. You can also, instead of down 1, right 3, you can move the negative to the denominator. So then you'd really go up 1 and left 3. So you can go up 1 and left 3. And you look, these points are all in the same exact line. And the last step, what I have in red there, is draw a continuous line. With that sounds a lot more complicated than it really is. Continuous line just means it's a line that has arrows on the end, that it continues. So I draw the line straight through all the points, and I keep going beyond the coordinate plane, drawing arrows saying that the graph keeps on going in those directions forever. All right, let's go with number 2. So the first thing you need to do is get the y by itself. So we should be subtracting x. It's a negative y that comes down, negative x minus 5. It's a -1 times y, so we divide by -1 on every term. Anytime you multiply or divide, you have to multiply or divide every term by whatever the number it is. We have a negative x divided by -1. That's like a -1 divided by -1, which is a positive 1. And then -5 divided by -1 is a positive 5. All right, let's graph this. So we have our b is 5. So we're going to go up on the y-axis to where 2, 3, 4, 5. That is your y-intercept. That's where the graph is going to cross through the y-axis. Now we're going to take this slope, and we're going to use the slope. So this is your slope, your m. M is kind of like, we can say it's for moving. So you're going to go up 1, positive 1, and right 1. Up 1, right 1, up 1, right 1. We can do that down 1 and left 1 also. Down 1, left 1. If you see over here, this would be down 1 and left 1 before we simplified it. You can keep doing this. The more points you have, the better your line is going to look. Now draw your continuous line through all your points, and we're done. All right, number 3. Should be subtracting 5x first. I'm going to write that x term first, because that's going to end up being where your slope is going to be located. And you're going to divide by -1. And we get y equals a negative divided by negative is a positive. And a negative divided by negative is a positive. All right, so let's take a look at our y-intercept first. That's -3. So on our graph, we're going to go down on the y-axis to -3. And then we're going to do 5 over 1. So we're going to go up 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and to right 1. Up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and right 1. I'd like to get at least 3 coordinates, and then draw your continuous line. The more coordinates you can get, the better. All right, number 4. I'm going to subtract the 4x, the x term. It's a -4x. The 21 is positive, so plus 21. Divide by 3, divide by 3, divide by 3. Y is going to equal -4/3 x plus 7. You have your y-intercept of 7, so we're going to go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then we're going to go down 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, to the right 3. It's a negative slope, so down 1, 2, 3, 4, right 3. Negative slope means from left to right the graph should be going down, and it is, so that's great. All right, let's go to the back. All right, now we're going to use, so instead of using slope-intercept form, now we're going to graph using the intercepts. So the first thing is you're going to set x equal to 0, then solve for y. And this will be your y-intercept. Then set the y equal to 0, and this is going to then solve for x. When you solve for x, that's going to be your x-intercept. Then we're going to plot the x and y-intercepts, which gives us 2 points. 2 points is enough to draw your continuous linear graph, continuous line. All right, so let's actually dive into this. So to get my x-intercept, I'm going to set y equal to 0. So in the equation, we have 2x minus 4 times 0 equals 20. We have 2x comes down, negative 4 times 0 is 0, and that's going to equal 20. Well, here's your baby equation. Divide by 2, you get x equals 10. There's your x-intercept. So this is our x-intercept. Now we need to find the y-intercept. So that's setting x equal to 0. So 2 times 0 minus 4y equals 20. We have 2 times 0 is 0. You have a negative 4y equals 20. Divide by negative 4. And you get y is going to equal negative 5. So now that is our y-intercept. You have 2 points where your graph will cross, and that is all you need. So we're going to go on our x-axis, and we're going to go to the right 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Off the graph a little bit, that's fine. And then the y-axis is going to go down 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You have 2 coordinates. It's all you technically need to draw your linear continuous line. All right, number 6, get your x-intercept. Set y equal to 0. So you get 2x equals 15. Divide by 2. You get 15 divided by 2, which is, typically I don't like decimals, but when we're actually plotting points, it's going to be easier at 7.5 versus 15 over 2. So that's going to be our x-intercept. To find our y-intercept, you set x equal to 0. So you get 0, you get 3y equals 15, divide by 3, you get y to equal 5. So our y-intercept is going to cross through at 5. Your x-intercept is going to cross through at 7.5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. In between 7 and 8, right in between, is 7.5. And draw your line, and done. All right, number 7. So finding the x-intercept, make y equals 0. So 12x minus 8 times 0 equals 24. All right, that's going to be 0. You get 12x equals 24. Divide by 12. You get x equals 2. That's your x-intercept. And your y-intercept, set x equal to 0. It's always opposite. So 12 times 0 minus 8y equals 24. So you're going to get a negative 8y equals 24. Divide by negative 8, divide by negative 8. You get y equals negative 3. So your y-intercept is negative 3. X-intercept is 2, so our x-axis is here. Your y-axis is vertical. So we have x-axis going to cross the x-axis at 2, your y-axis at negative 3. Try your... I actually saw a student, and it was awesome. They counted from one coordinate to the next, so they 1, 2, 3 up, and 2 to the right. So you can continue with that 1, 2, 3, and 2 to the right. So it actually should be right there. You can continue with that pattern. Anytime you have 2 coordinates, you can always find the slope. So that was cool when I saw a student do that. All right, next. So we have x-intercept is when you set y equal to 0. So 4x plus 12 times 0 equals 12. So we get 4x equals 12. X is going to equal 3. So our x-intercept is 3. Our y-intercept, where the graph is going to cross the y-axis, let's set x equal to 0. So 12y equals 12. Divide by 12. And y is going to equal 1. So our y-intercept is 1, so we go on the y-axis, the vertical, to 1. Our x-axis is going to go to 3. X equals 3. You can continue with that pattern, down 1, right 3, down 1, right 3, to get more points, or up 1, left 3. Certainly could do that. And there is 5.3. Come to class with any questions you have. Thank you.